Hello, everyone. This is Lorrie Hargis, and I'm so excited to have all of you in our this Master Essential Oil Facebook group. And today we're going to have our lesson. Lesson number 1 is going to be on viruses. So before we get started, let's have some housekeeping here. First of all of you who have been approved is because you've given your email address. And if you have friends who are trying to get in, please let them know they have to give us their email address, because if you've come in from, for example, from the NAHA, which we've had over 500 people come in from the NAHA, our group has grown almost to 1,000 as of today. Remember, that is a private email list that NAHA has. So we do not have your email address until you give that to us. So we really would appreciate that. Let your friends know that they need to get, so that way you can receive all the recordings, because we'll be sending out the recordings. The next point is that we have a lot of people saying health, which is what we have in our group, and you receive our self-care check-in list. With that self-care check-in list, you will receive a special download from us, but that will come next week after all this is done. And the other thing is we want to make sure that you understand that to make comments here in our group on StreamYard, you need to click the link for StreamYard. And Shirley and Ruth will be doing that. There are moderators today, and they will put that link in, because we want you to be able to comment, so that way you can receive our gifts and prizes that we're offering today and every single day through this weekend until Monday. And remember, all classes start at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, New York time. The other great thing is this group is from beginners to advanced aromatherapists. So welcome, everybody. And now we're going to get on with our masterclass lesson number 1 on viruses. Here we go. I'm going to share my screen. So welcome, everyone, to the Master Essential Oil class, lesson number 1 on viruses. And Ruth, let me know, can you see the screen? So I'm going to give a little background about myself today. I'm an internationally recognized registered aromatherapist, and I've been practicing in the natural health field for over 34 years. As an aromatherapist, an iridologist, a kinesiologist, and I'm also a certified flower essence practitioner. I've spent 11 and a half years researching, developing, and manufacturing organic, green, clean skincare products based on aromatherapy in the south of France, where I developed over 120 products, skincare products, certified organic by EcoCert. So for 11 and a half years, I had my own laboratory, which was a very fantastic experience. My mission is to teach, guide, and facilitate you to take responsibility for your own health and well-being through natural healing, holistic modalities. I'm also the founder of the Lorrie Hargis International School of Aromatherapy, where I teach and certify my students to be safe and effective aromatherapists. I'm happy to be your guide and mentor throughout this wonderful essential oil class, lesson number 1 on viruses. Have you or someone you know recently had a virus? So please put that in our comments and let Ruth and Miss Shirley know if you have recently had a virus. Put that in the comments, or someone you know. We would really love for you to let us know. Also, I want to say that we have people here in our group from the Philippines. We have people from Portugal, all over Europe, Canada, and the United States. So this is a fantastic group. So I know a lot of us have been touched by different viruses, and that's why today it's so important to talk about it. So when I had COVID, I felt like, what am I going to do? How am I going to take care of myself? And fortunately, because I've been in this for 34 years, I instantaneously went to my essential oils and grabbed those essential oils. However, it just didn't happen to me. It happened to my daughter at the same time. She was 2 or 3 days ahead of me. She had been exposed in a large group of people, and she came home with a fever, and I was the one who was taking care of her. So I got COVID too. So here's a picture of me in bed, and I did a video of myself when I got COVID because I wanted to be able to help other people. And I wrote a blog post about it. And that blog post has been seen by many people, and it's helped many people with their challenges that they've had with COVID. And today, that's what we're going to start out. We're going to start talking about viruses and how we can help ourselves with that, with our own natural health kit at home. So here is what I found. Here were just some of the things that I used when I got COVID and when my daughter had it. And now I have transferred this information to many others. I use the essential oil of Naoli, which comes from Madagascar. And this essential oil is wonderful for the respiratory system. It also has been known to have antiviral properties due to the 1,8-cenol in it, which the other name for it is eucalyptol. Then we have our lovely arnica here, and this was used in a macerated oil that we use for pain. We also were using lemon essential oil. And this lemon essential oil came from the USA, and everything I used was organic. I'm not going to put anything in my body that's not organic. I do not want pesticides and herbicides in my system. So everything we used was organic. And as we know, lemon has limonene in it, which now in studies we have found that limonene helps keep the microbiota in the gut. So anytime we have an illness, we need to make sure that we are working on our gut. And this is the reason why we were using lemon, and also because it has antiviral properties, has been known to help with viruses, and also because we were using this in inhalations. Now, here we go to another essential oil from Madagascar, which is called Raven Sarah. And we were using Raven Sarah because of its known properties to be antiviral. Also, emotionally, we were looking at what we were going through. So when we get to lesson 3, we're going to be talking about the protocol, the reasons why we used all these things, and also the emotional aspect of it, because this is a very important part of our school, is teaching people that, we all know essential oils work on our emotions, our spirituality, our physical and our mental health. However, really dialing in on our emotions first can help us with our stress and help our bodies to overcome things very quickly. We nip it in the bud. And essential oils, as we know, are the spark plug. They help us ignite our cells. They get in there, they work, and we can have great results. So we used Raven Sarah. We also used rosemary. And rosemary, we used 1,8-cenol rosemary. And this was used also for its antiviral properties. However, it was also used for our sense of smell because we both lost our sense of smell. And we were using this in inhalations. So these are just a few of the things that we used. That's why I have plus more here, because we're going to be talking about all of that on Sunday at 1 p.m. We're going to be talking about protocols, and we're going to be showing also some protocols of some of our students in the Lorrie Hargis International School of Aromatherapy and how they can help you. So do you feel like you know which essential oils to use for viruses? That is our question. That's going to be our whole question this next 4 days. All right. So how many of you guys feel like you know which ones that you would use? Put them in the chat so that way Ruth and Shirley can see those. So today you will learn what is a virus, symptoms of a virus. Is it a cold or the flu? What is the coronavirus? What is the immune system? The function of the immune system, 3 types of immunity. What is an essential oil? How can essential oils help support you with viruses? And we have a case study and formulation by Mary Polisano, certified natural health practitioner and certified aromatherapist with the Lorrie Hargis International School of Aromatherapy. So she'll be our special guest today. So what is a virus? According to the Mayo Clinic, viruses are even smaller than bacteria. So if you can imagine that, they're smaller than bacteria with a protein coating and a coat of genetic material, either RNA or DNA, and require a living host, such as people, plants, or animals to multiply. So that's why they can multiply on us, right? We are living host. Otherwise, they can't survive. When a virus enters your body, it invades some of your cells and takes over the cell machinery, redirecting it to produce the virus. So let's look at the symptoms of a virus. We can have a runny nose, a sore throat, coughing, watery eyes, sneezing, congestion, body aches, fever, headache, fatigue, diarrhea, and chills. So is it a cold or the flu? Right now, because we're so invaded with so much information coming into us, that a lot of times we panic and we don't know what we have, right? So this is a good way to understand if you really have the flu or a cold. The cold is a viral infection of your upper respiratory tract. That means your nose, your nasal cavity, your mouth, your throat, and your larynx. Most often caused by common human coronaviruses or rhinoviruses. The infection is typically harmless. A cold may last as little as a few days or as long as a couple weeks. Now, when we're really talking about the flu can cause mild to severe illness and at times can lead to death. A flu is different from a cold, and I want you guys to remember this because we're going to have a quiz at the end of this. So you need to know these answers. That way you get a chance to win my book, and you also get put in the chance to an opportunity to have a $300 call with me, an aromatherapy session. So the flu usually comes on suddenly. So I want you to remember that. A flu comes on suddenly. And a flu also has more intense symptoms. So a cold, you could have a runny nose and you could have, some body aches and you could have a headache, but a flu, you're going to have it all and you're going to have it more intense. That's how you can tell the difference. If you've just got a runny nose, and you've got a little sore throat, then more than likely it's going to be a cold. If you've got all the symptoms, then it's going to be more of the flu. Now, we could go into more detail about that. However, we're not going to. We're going to go on now to the next thing. And here are the symptoms of a cold and the flu. So it's clear for you. Cold symptoms include runny nose, sore throat, coughing, watery eyes, sneezing, and congestion. And you usually get it over in a few days. Now, unless you have a problem with your immune system, then it's going to take you longer, right? And we've got so many people now with autoimmune problems. Now, let's look at the flu symptoms. It includes fever or feeling feverish with chills. You know, your body can't get its temperature balanced, right? Cough, sore throat, runny or stuffy nose, body aches, muscle aches, headaches, fatigue. Some people might even have vomiting and diarrhea, but this is more common in children than it is adults. And we're going to be talking about all these symptoms tomorrow and what different types of applications that you can use to help you get through this. Our goal here is so that way you can think of the essential oils to use, you can think of the application to use when you get a cold or flu or any kind of virus. That way you can help yourself at home and you can get better and get through it. This is called self-responsibility for your health. So, what is COVID-19? It is a coronavirus disease, 2019, is highly contagious viral illness caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, which is SARS-CoV-2. And 19 was put on the end of it because it happened in 2019. Viruses constantly change through mutation, and sometimes these mutations result in a new variant of the virus. Some variants emerge and disappear while others persist. The two major variants currently that we're looking at, now there are others, are Delta and Omicron. The Alpha, Gamma, and Beta variants continue to be monitored, but are spreading at a much lower level. Okay, so we have to look at this is we're going to always, there's been coronaviruses for years, and especially in cattle, there's been coronaviruses. My son is an animal expert. He's a horse chiropractor. And so when this corona came out, he said, you know, Mom, we've had coronaviruses in all the cattle. There's close to like 30 or so. So this is not something new, is what I'm trying to tell you. They're always going to be around. So we need to be able to help ourselves and help others in a safe and effective way. And I'm not saying not go to your medical doctor. You always need to be checked. It's just that in this situation that we had, a lot of people's hands were tied. And we want to untie our hands, and we want to take responsibility for our own health and well-being. How many of you want to do that? How many of you are taking self-responsibility for your health and well-being? How many of you guys are there? I want to see in the comments. Because I can't see the comments, so Shirley or Ruth have to send me the comments. So the symptoms of the COVID-19, fever or chills, cough, shortness of breath or difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting and diarrhea. Now remember this, look for emergency warning signs for COVID-19. If someone is showing any of these signs, seek emergency medical care immediately. Trouble breathing, persistent pain or pressure in the chest, new confusion, inability to wake or stay awake, and bluish lips or face. Now let's look at really, about our immune system, because our immune system is so important, and it's connected to so many different systems of our body. Without an immune system, your body can't function. So when we look at the immune system, Parkin and Cohen, 2001, state the immune system is an interactive network of lymphoid organs, cells, humoral factors, and cytokines. The essential function of the immune system in host defense is best illustrated when it goes wrong. Underactivity resulting in severe infections and tumors of immune deficiency. Overactivity in allergic and autoimmune diseases. So as we see here are the organs of the immune system. We have our tears, our adenoids, salvia glands, tonsils. This is one of the major tonsils here is in the lymph system. And the lymph system and the immune system are connected. And so is the respiratory system and the intestinal system and the digestive system. It goes on and on and on. We have to look at ourselves as a whole person, not as my immune system here, my digestive system here, my intestinal system here. It's all interconnected. We are a microcosm in the macrocosm. So our body is reflecting what's going on internally and also what's going on externally with us. So as we look here, our skin is part of our first defense for our immune system, isn't it? Then we have our thymus gland that sends off T cells and B cells. And then we have our bronchus associated with our lymph tissue. So every time we take a breath, we are moving that lymph tissue. We are moving our lymphatic system every time we take a breath. So if we're always sitting, and we're all sitting now like this more, right? In front of these computers, all crumped down, not breathing deeply. This affects your immune system. This affects your respiratory system. Then we have mucus. We have to have mucus to move things in our body. The challenge now everybody's having is, though, the mucus is getting too thick. And that's where essential oils can help us. Essential oils help move mucus, don't they? They're also bronchial dilators. So they get in there and they move mucus out that we don't need there. We have our bone marrow that helps us rebuild our cells, right? And in our bone marrow, it's what we're born with too, our immune system in there, our T cells, B cells. Then we go to our intestinal system. We have lymph in our intestines. This is why we're connected into this immune system. And just like I said, when I talked briefly about lemon in the second slide, is now it's showing that essential oils can work on our gut microbiota, especially when they contain limonene, like lemon, orange. So you can see how everything is so interconnected. And of course, we have our lymph nodes, which help us with our immune system, and then we've got the spleen. We can live without it, yeah. However, it's one of the most important organs because it helps us with our T cells and our B cells. And then we've got our appendix, which is part of the lymphatic system and the immune system. Yeah, you can take that out too. But then you just don't have as many responders, right, in your body. So it's really good to take good care of yourself, and especially right now. Build your immune system with healthy foods. And this is what we'll be talking about also on Sunday, the protocols. So now let's look at our functions of the immune system. When the body senses foreign substances called antigens, the immune system works to recognize the antigen and then get rid of it, right? It sees the antigen and it's like, pow, let's get rid of it. B lymphocytes are triggered to make antibodies, just like I was talking about what the spleen does for you, right? Also called immunoglobulins. These proteins lock onto specific antigens. After they're made, antibodies usually stay in our bodies in case we must fight the same germ again. That's called immunity, isn't it? So usually we can fight it again, right? That's why when someone who gets sick with a disease like chickenpox usually won't get sick again from it. I've only had chickenpox once in my life. I only had German measles once in my life. I only had mumps once in my life. These are all examples. And I have a strong immune system, so, we can see how our bodies can get through these things. We just got to give them a chance, and we've got to give them a fighting chance and give them the right things to fight with. These specialized cells and parts of the immune system offer the body protection against disease. This protection is called immunity. So let's look at the three types of immunity. Innate immunity. Everyone is born with innate or natural immunity, a type of general protection. For example, the skin acts as a barrier to block germs, doesn't it, from entering the body? Now, when a baby's first born, their skin doesn't protect them as well yet. This is why we have to cover our children. We have to cover their heads. We've got to cover them up because they're just starting to get used to this, baby is, isn't it? This is why it's very important to protect them. And the immune system recognizes when certain invaders are foreign and can be dangerous. So here you have the normal barrier function, and then here is where it's trying to come through: viruses, bacteria, toxins, and moisture. So our skin is our first sign of protection, isn't it? It's there to help us. And when we start having skin disorders, the skin's overloaded because it also is one of the largest eliminating organs in the body, besides the large intestine, the lungs, and the kidneys. So when we start having skin disorders, we've got something going on internally wrong. Adaptive immunity or active immunity develops throughout our lives. We develop adaptive immunity when we're exposed to diseases. Just like I was saying, when I was exposed to, German measles, I was exposed to rubella. And when I got married, when they took my rubella count, it was super, super high. I had immunity to it. Passive immunity is borrowed from another source. It lasts for a short time. For example, antibodies in a mother's breast milk give a baby temporary immunity to diseases that the mother has been exposed to. So if your mother nursed you, she's reinforcing that immune system. She's giving you even more immunity to things. She's helping you. She's also helping you with your gut bacteria. So moms out there, make sure that you can nurse your babies. It's so, so important. You'll have very healthy children. There isn't one person in our family who's not nursed. And my grandson is the perfect example of that. If he gets a cold, it lasts one day. He got COVID, lasted 2 days. He's got a great immune system. And he's never been on any medication. And either has my youngest daughter either. Never been on medication. So they get over things very quickly. Strong immune systems. So at the end, let me see here. Okay, we have some questions here I'll answer here at the end. At the end of this live broadcast, you can ask any questions that you have at the Q&A. Book your free 30-minute discovery aromatherapy session, and Ruth will put that in the comments where you guys can book a session with me, a free 30-minute session. Opportunity to win my book, Common Sense, by entering the quiz at the end of this live broadcast. And by participating, you get a chance to win an aromatherapy session with me that is a $300 value. So please make sure that you don't forget all these wonderful opportunities that you have today to enhance and better your health. So let's look at the signs and symptoms of a low immune system. High stress levels. Anytime that you are in high stress levels, you are sending out cortisone from your adrenal glands constantly to overcome it. We all need a little stress to help us get going right every morning, to have the energy to be motivated. But too much is too much. You're constantly worrying about others. You're constantly worrying about the past, or you're constantly worrying about the future instead of being in the present moment can cause very high stress levels. Also, when you have high stress levels, that means you are more susceptible to a cold or to a flu. And then you are always catching them. Gut problems, irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, constipation, all these are gut troubles, and those can cause a low immune system. Again, the microbiota in the gut. Wounds are slow to heal. They're not healing up. That means your body is not regenerating, right? Your immune system, your whole body is not regenerating. Bruise easily. Frequent infections, pneumonia once a year. That's a sign of a low immune system. Feeling tired all the time. If you've got high stress levels and you're not sleeping, you're going to feel tired all the time, and you're going to lower your immune system. So these are very important parts of seeing how we can catch a virus. And then how now we're going to show you in the next couple days how when you do have it to get over it. And then also think about what you're putting in your mouth every single day, huh? Food is one of your best medicines, along with essential oils. So what is an essential oil? The vital energies from the inside of roots. Can anybody name us in the comments, name us a root that is made into an essential oil? Can anybody name an essential oil that comes from a root? Well, I'm going to name one right now. Ginger. Ginger is a wonderful essential oil. It's so warming, isn't it? Perfect for this time of year. Turmeric and ginger. Great. Thank you, Shirley, for that. People answered. And another one is what? Vetiver. Now let's name some seeds that come from essential oil, that essential oils are made into from seeds. Can anybody name some lovely seeds? Oh, and valerian root, someone said too. And yes, valerian root is an essential oil and it's made from a root. And that really helps us work on our nervous system, doesn't it? So let's name a seed now. Fennel. Perfect. Fennel is for digestion, and it does also have antiviral properties. It also picks us up and gets us going. And what about any plants? Black pepper comes from the peppercorn. Cardamom. Perfect. Yes, that's a beautiful one. It's so good for our digestion, isn't it? It also can help our respiratory system, cardamom. Anise seeds. Yes, very good. Good for our digestive system. And now let's talk about some plants. Grapefruit seed. Yes, grapefruit seed extract. It's not made into an essential oil, but it is an extract. And it's good for the immune system. Carrot seeds. Yes, carrot essential oil is wonderful for the skin, especially. And let's talk about some plants now. What about like geranium? Can you guys name any other ones? Any other plants like geranium that you could mention? So the girls are grabbing those comments from you right now. So let's also go to grasses. What kind of grasses are made into essential oils? Lavender, someone said. Great, fantastic. Lavender, and it's, remember, when you are harvesting lavender, which is what we were doing here with Joelle and my daughter Zoe, we were cutting, when you cut lavender, you cut the stems, you cut the leaves, and you cut the flowers. It's the same with geranium. Now, rose is a flower. It comes from the flower. It doesn't come from the stems. It comes from the flower. Pine, it comes from the tree and it comes from the branches of the tree. You don't cut the tree down like you do with sandalwood. Eucalyptus comes from the leaves of the trees, right? And let's name some, and lemongrass, great. Someone said lemongrass. Lemongrass comes from grasses. Also citronella does too, right? Chamomile comes from the flowering plant, like when you cut your lavender, it comes from the flower and the plant itself. Now let's talk about some resins. What are some essential oils that come from resins that you guys can think of? Sage is a plant. Again, it's the flowering plant that you cut. Great. What about some resins? Tarragon, again, it's the plant. That's perfect. Frankincense, yes, comes from resins. Perfect. Myrrh, excellent. Pomarosa is a grass. Excellent. You guys are doing so well. Now name some flowers for me, some other flowers besides rose. We had rose already, so name a couple other flowers. Helichrysum. Helichrysum is cut with the flowering tops on it, just like lavender and geranium and chamomile. Palo Santo. Yes. And now name some flowers, just flowers. Rose. Name a couple other ones. Neroli. Perfect. Ylang ylang. Great. Flowers of flowers is what that means. Geranium is in the plant family, but it's got the flowering tops on it when you cut it. Great. Lotus. Lotus is you have the flower, but that's usually made from an extract. You know, it's extracted, the lotus is. So it's a little bit different. You also can make it into a concrete more, and it's used a lot in perfumery. Bergamot comes from the peel. Yes. And what other fruits? Clary sage, it's the plant with the flowering tops. Roman chamomile, again, is plant with flowering tops. And let's hit some more fruits now. We got bergamot. Juniper berries comes from the juniper and also the branches, or you can have juniper berries separate or the branches and the berries together. Now, picking those juniper berries, that is a sticky job, huh? I've done it, and it's a sticky job because we have a lot of juniper in France, and we go out and use juniper berries in boeuf bourguignon. In the winter, my husband makes that meal for us. So we have lemon, lime, orange, tangerine, mandarin. Good job, you guys. All right. So each essential oil has different chemical constituents. These chemical constituents give each essential oil its individual properties: antiviral, anti-infectious, soothing, cooling, stimulating, and analgesic, plus so much more, right? Warming. I mean, they do so many things. They relax us. These energies are used in the practice of aromatherapy, physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And this is why essential oils are such an important holistic health tool, is because they work on all aspects of us human beings. So this is a very important one here. How can essential oils help with viruses? Essential oils have long been known to have anti-inflammatory, immune modulatory, bronchodilatory, and antiviral properties, and are being proposed to have activity against SARS-CoV-2 virus, owing to their lipophilic nature. Essential oils are advocated to penetrate viral membranes, easily leading to membrane disruption. Moreover, essential oils can multiply active phytochemicals that can act synergistically on multiple stages of viral replication, and also induce positive effects on host respiratory system, including bronchial dilation and mucus lias. Now, mucus lias is this. It's when the mucus needs to be thinned, okay? That's what that means. So that's why I was saying lemon, when it goes in, it helps the mucus move out of the body. That's why we were using it. Then essential oils, because they are lipophilic, right? They love fat. That's why they don't solubilize in water. And viruses have this membrane on them that, with the lipophilic nature of essential oils, they can penetrate that membrane. That's why they're so important for viruses. And you can find out more about this. We will have these slides available if you want the slides. We're going to see how we can put them up on the Facebook group so you guys can click this information. You also will have a recording of this, so that way you can go out and check out these links that we have put into these slides and learn more. So how can essential oils help your immune system? So if we look at the chemistry of essential oils, we have phenols. Now, phenols are in cinnamon leaf, clove, oregano, savory, thyme, which is the key, and with the chemotype thymol, right? Phenols are what? If you look at these plants here, what would be part of how they feel on the body? How would they feel? What do they do? Are they cold? Are they hot? Hot, exactly. Phenols are hot. There's cinnamon leaf, clove, oregano, savory, thyme. This is why we have to be very careful with them, because cinnamon leaf and clove, they contain eugenol, which is very hot. It's a chemical constituent. That's also what makes them antiviral, antibacterial, right? They get in there, they're hot, and they stimulate that immune system. They're also good for pain. But we have to use them in very small amounts, not slathering them on ourselves. We're going to have all kinds of skin problems if we do. That's when you get allergies. Oregano contains carvacol, and carvacol it's also in savory. It's very, very, very hot, and it's antiviral. So these are very special essential oils, but they have to be used with safety rules in your mind, right? And thyme, as we see, because it's this is a chemotype of thyme, Thymus vulgaris L, CT. CT stands for chemotype, thymol. So this has been found to be very helpful for viruses. There's some studies being done on it right now. And the contraindications is do not use in pregnancy, breastfeeding, or with children 6 years of age, and maybe a little bit higher, 8 years. Do not use if suffering from hepatitis or you have a transplant. They stimulate the immune system. Okay, we don't want to stimulate the immune system when we have had a transplant. Then they are known to be skin irritants. This is why you use very small amounts of them. You're not slathering them on. And if you know about ephra, you will understand that when you make your blends, you've got to be very, very careful with these essential oils. Now let's look at terpenes. Almost all essential oils contain terpenes. They are good tonics. Terpenes help fight against pain and inflammation, and they're aerial antiseptics. They are also antiviral. Let's look here at pine. Pine has alpha-pinene in it, beta-pinene in it, and these are very good antiseptics, okay? Lemon, grapefruit, orange, they contain limonene. And that's what I was saying. They help, now we're seeing in some studies that they help with the microbiota in the body. Also help with the mucus, moving the mucus, breaking up things. Contraindications: do not use in pregnancy and breastfeeding, can dry out the skin and can be irritating to the mucous membranes. Also, we have to remember that lemon, grapefruit, and bitter orange are phototoxic. Okay, so aldehydes. Let's look at aldehydes. Aldehydes are anti-infectious, antifungal, powerful antiseptics, and calming to the nervous system. You have Eucalyptus citrodora. Eucalyptus citrodora is also very well known to be antiviral. Lemongrass, lemon verbena, and cinnamon bark. So you're going to look at these two. They're also calming to the nervous system. Do not use in pregnancy and breastfeeding or children under 2 years of age. Then we have the ketone family, which is antiviral, antifungal, and protects the healthy cells from reinfection against viruses and fungi. Helpful for warts and scars. Now here you have sage, hyssop, and thuya. These are neurotoxic and abortive. So anytime you would go to use those, you have to make sure that no one's not pregnant, they're not thinking of getting pregnant, and you would have to be very, 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 very careful with them. You do not use these with children either. Very, very small amounts for a very short time. Then we have rosemary, which is the chemotype. We have 1,8-cianol, and then we have the other chemotype, rosemary camphor. They contain ketones, but not in the high levels that you have in sage, hyssop, and thuya. Contraindications: do not use in pregnancy, nursing, or do not apply or near the face of infants or children under 2 years of age. Caution: potentially convulsant due to the percentage of camphor. So you have to be careful with that. So if someone is epileptic, you need to make sure that rosemary is not going to affect them. And then let's go to helichrysum and dill. They're in the family, but they do not have the contraindications that the other essential oils have in them. Do not use in pregnancy or breastfeeding or children under 2 years of age. Now let's go to the ester family. So this is a lot of different information here, but as we go through each day, you're going to be using this information. This is the basis to everything. So the esters are balancing, soothing, antispasmodic, anti-inflammatory, antiseptic, antibacterial. They help with scars, they're user-friendly, and they're good for people who are hypertensive and stressed. Well, look at them. Lavender, Roman chamomile, ylang ylang, clary sage. And they all have a common denominator. They have linalool in them, which is an alcohol. But for example, linyl acetate, that is an ester, okay? And it's very relaxing and soothing to the body and balancing, anti-inflammatory. And when we have a virus, our body has inflammation, doesn't it? Because the body's trying to get rid of it. It's a normal process. However, we can use essential oils during that time for our headache, for our body aches. We can use them in all the different ways, which we're going to learn about tomorrow. Then we have sesquiterpenes, which are anti-inflammatory, anti-allergenic, bactericidal, antiseptic, calming, which are helpful to the respiratory and immune system against allergies and bacterial infections. Excellent for skin conditions and muscle cramps due to their anti-spasmodic properties. And we have yarrow and German chamomile and cedarwood. Now, German chamomile grows taller than Roman chamomile, okay? And it's got a bigger flower on it. So you know that there's a difference there when you look at them. And I would say, you know, German chamomile is far more expensive, for one thing. And it is blue because it has azulene in it, which yarrow does too. And this is, you know, yarrow is known because it's the botanical name is Achillea millefolium. And it was named after Achilles because they say that he took yarrow when he was fighting in his battles, and he took the yarrow and they put it on his Achilles tendon, which he had hurt during fighting. So this is where the botanical name comes for yarrow. And they both, though, have this sesquiterpene in them called azulene. And azulene is what also helps it to be anti-inflammatory. And they're a blue color, even though they start off with yarrow as yellow and German chamomile with a white flower with a yellow center. So let's look at the ethers. Now, ethers, you know, you're thinking ethers going up in the air. However, if you think of it like that, is what it does is it stimulates you when you're feeling weak and depressed. And anytime you get sick, you're gonna have feelings of weakness and depression. It comes with it. And so these are very important essential oils that you can be using to help you, number one, with those feelings of weakness and depression. When you have spasms in your legs, they're also anti-inflammatory. They also help with allergies, and they're wonderful for the digestive system. A lot of times when we're weak, we're not digesting properly, and these can help us with that. Plus, fennel has a lot of antiviral properties in it. So you can see how, that's what's so great about essential oils is, you know, you can use them for so many different things. However, you got to be able to dial it down to know what you want to have and what you want to use, right? So that's why each day we're progressing. Contraindications: do not use in pregnancy or breastfeeding. Do not use with children under 2 years of age or if epileptic. Let's go to the alcohol family. This family is anti-infectious, antiviral. They're stimulating, warming, and toning to the skin, and they're gentle for children and the elderly. So we talked quite a bit about them. The helichrysum I was speaking about, the helichrysum is Italicum. Helichrysum is what I was speaking about. That was one of the questions here. So yes, that was Italicum, Helichrysum Italicum. So that way you know. Alcohols, let's look here. We've got bergamot, geranium, neroli, and palmarosa. These are also just very good for the emotions and very balancing to the emotions too, all of these. So let's see how we can really use these nice essential oils, except we've got to remember that bergamot is very phototoxic. So you've got to make sure that you're not, going to go out in the sun and work in your yard after putting on bergamot if you have it in your perfume. Because if you're facing, the side of this, maybe your backyard's in the south, and you are, got one side of your skin's going to be darker, right? We have to be very careful with that. And we're going to learn more about the safety on Sunday. Tea tree and sweet thyme. We have the tea tree, sweet thyme, and peppermint. These are also alcohols, and they're wonderful to be using for the immune system. Peppermint is anti-inflammatory. Sweet thyme is anti-inflammatory. Tea tree works on many different kinds of viruses. So we have to be able to see how we can use these and how we can find out what's going to work. Because we were all told, oh, no, only certain essential oils work on this. Well, we're going to find that out, aren't we? And the way to find out is by trying. We just can't sit on our hands. And that's kind of what happened in the very beginning of all of this, is we all kind of sat on our hands a little bit. So because we were all afraid. Don't be afraid anymore. Try things, see how they work for you. It's the only way we're going to know. And by more clinical studies, by people doing more clinical studies and helping us. Yes, bergamot is phototoxic because of the bergantine in it. That's what makes it phototoxic. Now let's go to our last family. And some of these essential oils, they're in other families too. But I just want to let you know that they do have a terpenoid oxide in them. And it is 1,8-phenol. And oxides are stimulating to the nervous system, the circulatory system, the reproductive system. They're expectorants and decongestants, and they're excellent for the respiratory system. There we go with the bronchial dilators, right? They're antibacterial and antiviral. They help the body, especially the pancreas, secrete secretions, and they stimulate secretions. And they are also good diuretics. So we have Naoli, which was one of the ones I used, Ravensara. Those two are antiviral, plus they help with the body, getting rid of mucus. Contraindications: do not use in pregnancy or breastfeeding. Do not use with children under 2 years of age. Eucalyptus globulus. Do not use in pregnancy and breastfeeding on or near the face of children under 10 years of age. Be careful with asthmatics and if suffering from chronic pulmonary disease. These are excellent essential oils to be using. Just make sure that you're seeing the precautions here. Rosemary, 1.8-phenol. Contraindications: do not use in pregnancy, breastfeeding. Do not apply on or near the face of infants or children under 2 years of age. Caution: potentially convulsant due to the percentage of camphor. Now, here is a link. And what we will do is later on, we will put these links up so you guys can just click these links to. We'll just put it in a post. And that way you guys can go in and start looking at the essential oil components and how they can be helpful for the upper respiratory system. This one was done on phenol. Now, 1,8-phenol, another word for it is what? Does anybody know? What is the other word? My husband's been in aromatherapy for now 40 years, and he says the other word. I always say 1,8-phenol. He says, does anybody know? If I do that, then it knocks me off, Ruth. Not a good idea. That totally knocks me off. Now I got to get back on. That stays on the screen. That has to be there. I'm so sorry, but that's the way it goes. So now I have to go back to that. And I'm going to share my screen again. So let's go back here. Let's reshare my screen. Sorry about that, you guys. Sorry that thing is on the bottom, but that's the way it goes, heading west, huh? We're out west here. So can you guys see the screen now? Let me know. Thanks, great. Okay, so we're here. Mary is going to be put on with me. You'll be able to see her on screen. And I want to let you guys know that I've known Mary since 1999. Mary is a certified natural health practitioner. She's also a certified aromatherapist. And this is her case study, Relief from Congestion and Flu using Ravensara essential oil. So take it away, Mary.
Well, good afternoon. I couldn't be more delighted to be with you, oh, teacher and sage of mine of these many years. I just have a little editorial. I'm so grateful to you that we have been together and I've been learning from you all these years. It has enhanced my personal and professional life beyond measure. So I'm happy to have been a student and a graduate from your International School of Aromatherapy. And it taught me to be a very focused and very disciplined researcher. And I was able to bring modalities to my clients that I never thought possible. This particular case study that I'm going to be sharing with the audience today is one of my absolute favorites because of how often and how successful I'm able to use it. I will also say that I did have to get special permission on this one because in this particular formulation, it's not a formulation at all. It's really a very focused study and application with my client on Ravensara. And it's become one of, as an aromatherapist, it's become really one of my top 5 that I go to, particularly as we are met with the challenges now, not only seasonal flu, but all the other viruses that we're dealing with. So let me just review the particulars of the case study, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions if there are any. So this young man is a university student. He's about 20 years old. He was in his 3rd year. He's an engineering student, so he had a ton of stress. He's very driven. He's a very smart boy. And because of the intensity of his curriculum, every single exam time during midterms and finals, he would come down with something. And so he'd had bouts with flu prior to this. He came in to me and he wanted some kind of intervention for his recent bout with the flu, the year that he came to me. And because he'd gone to the doctor and he'd done several other things with limited to marginal results. So he came to me and he wanted to know what else he could do to heal faster. And just as Lorrie was saying a few minutes ago, you know, when you don't feel well, there's a certain amount of anxiety and depression that ensues because you can't pursue your normal activity. So this is how this young man presented to me. His desire was to avoid medication if possible, and because when he took his medication, he didn't tolerate it very well. The treatments did alleviate some of his symptoms, but he reported being in overall not great health. So we looked into what would be the single most potent thing that a busy, stressed out college student be able to do, be compliant with, because it's great if you have it, but if it sits there on the bottle, in the bottle on your shelf or on your dresser in your dorm room, it's not doing you any good. So we really got down to what he would commit to, and which is also what made this single essential oil very, very effective. So we selected Ravensara. The reason I love Ravensara, it's an immune booster. It helps reduce physical weakness. You know, when you're sick, you have the flu, any kind of virus, you know, you end up with general malaise and weakness. So Ravensara with the chemical constituents helps with depression, anxiety. It's called physical asthenia, which is the weakness I'm referring to. And it helped build his self-confidence so that he was able to take care of himself and then ultimately be able to perform a little bit better. It is a little slightly sedating, and it also helped improve his sleep quality, as I said, and reduces his anxiety. The chemical constituents render powerful antiviral activity and generally improve immune system response, which is exactly what we're referring to in this whole session 1 masterclass. Reduces muscle weakness and fatigue, as well as joint pain and stiffness. You know, when people feel sick, they just say they feel achy. Well, the achy is their muscles hurt, maybe their joints hurt. Even if it's a healthy young person, they start to feel it in many of the systems in the body. So they just feel generally weak. The primary constituents, and this is what excites me as a practitioner for Ravensara, is something called 1.8 cineol. And cineol it's synonymous with eucalyptol. And the reason that Ravensara is one of my top 5 is because of all of the essential oils in this particular family. It has the highest concentration of this 1.8 eucalyptol. It's up a little upwards of 62.5%. It renders anything to do with that outer layer that Lorrie was referring to earlier. It's able to break through that fatty exterior so that if there is any penetration at the cellular level, there's a less opportunity for the cell to the virus to penetrate the cell and then to replicate. Therefore, the severity and the duration is less. And that's the key with anything, because if somebody comes down to with something, even if they don't feel well, because all of us are going to have a little something as it comes through, otherwise our immune system wouldn't be as strong as it is. We want to shorten the duration and the severity of whatever they do come down with. So what we did was we did 18 drops in a carrier oil, and the carrier oil was a group of different good omega-3 fats. And we were able to do 18 drops in the blend. And then we also asked him to put it into 16 ounces in an aromatherapy water diffuser. Now, the reason for that was because we wanted a two-pronged approach for this young man, one being massage, and we had him massage the oil with the carrier oil blend right on his solar plexus, right on his chest. And for any of us of a certain era, my mother was a nurse, for example. I remember as a kiddo, mom slathering this sort of salve, and you got this smell and the scent of this eucalyptol. A lot of it was eucalyptus, Eucalyptus radiata, Eucalyptus globulus, but there was some Ravensara in that trusted age-old salve that mom used to rub on our chest when we had colds when we were kids. And a lot of that scent and that smell, as it would radiate up in through the sinuses, was this 1.8 eucalyptol that was contained in the chemical constituents of these oils. So we had him, the inhalation, this is an important part too. Inhalation is an important route of exposure because of the role of scent or odor in aromatherapy. And from a safety standpoint, it presents a very low risk to most people. This is verified in the Tisserand Essential Oil Safety Book. Even in a relatively small or closed room, assuming 100% evaporation, and it's never 100%, but even in a case study, concentration of any essential oil constituent is unlikely to reach any kind of dangerous levels. Now that's different with pets and other beings, but this is just a kiddo in a very tight little dorm room. So we were sure that it was a very, very safe environment for him to have in his diffuser. And also the dilution was very, there was heavy dilution of the oil to the water, and it was emitted into the air, of course, in a soft mist so he could breathe it in. Also, the potential risk from overexposure, we had him limit the amount of time that it was going to be on in the room. So not more than 30 minutes. He was able to set his little timer on his little phone. And at the end of it, he would close his door and breathe it in for the 30 minutes. So he had full saturation. But then after that, you don't need any more than that. That's all he needed. So he had the exposure in his lungs, in his sinuses, and of course on his skin as the particulate tended to saturate the small dorm room. The inhalation directly into the lungs through the use of the diffuser is considered indirect aid to the organ that's affected. And of course, when you have flu, sinuses, throat, lungs are all affected. This diminishes the incidence of secondary bacteria forming in the lungs. Also very important, because when do people start to get into trouble when they have flu? They have the congestion, they have that thick mucus that Lorrie was talking about at the beginning of the class. And the thick mucus that is sustained in the lungs, if it hangs out there for any period of time, that's when there's a tipping point and the client may develop a secondary bacterial infection or bronchitis and or, heaven forbid, pneumonia. So the incidence of secondary bacteria forming in the lungs was diminished by using this two-pronged approach: direct application, direct aid, as in the massage on the chest, and also the diffuser. It's an excellent choice in terms of administering the client with a more comprehensive approach rather than massage alone. We could have had him put it on his feet. We could have had, but this kiddo was sick. He wanted to feel better right away, which is why I also didn't clutter the formulation with other oils. There were other things like lemon that was referred to earlier in the class. We had him drink a lot of lemon in his water and do some other dietary applications that we would normally probably use in an essential oil. But in this case, for this client, we needed something fast and direct. And with a two-prong approach, he was delighted. He responded right away. You could see it in his body language. I saw him the next day. His shoulders, his trapezius muscles were relaxed. His neck was more relaxed. You could see there was less cringing and inflammation in his face in terms of the stress that he presented with. He reported that it was the first good night's sleep he'd had probably in about 2 weeks. A, nervous about finals, but B, just feeling better because he felt like he was being proactive and doing something about his flu. So you can read all about this. I know Lorrie uploaded it onto the site. There's more scientific detail, but due to the seriousness of this kiddo's schoolwork, I was worried about him in that he really felt as though if he wasn't able to get better and focus on his studies, that his ability to pass his finals was going to be in jeopardy. So the fact that we were able to do this two-pronged approach with a very, very specific oil, Raven Sarah is my go-to at any time when there's a lot of either temperature regulation, because he did have a little bit of a fever, but also it's the sinus and the congestion and the heavy mucus production in the lungs and sinus. And again, there's more of the science of it regarding in the evaluation, and it'll give you the particulars on the anti-mucolyptic constituents of Raven Sarah, but this is my favorite.
Oh, thank you so much, Mary, for that. Now, we have some questions here, and so let's go back to our questions. So it was 18 drops. Let's go back to the formulation. Mm-hmm. It was 18 drops. So it was 18 drops in 30 mil. And mm-hmm. So you guys know to transfer 30 mil equals 1 ounce. Mm-hmm. So you guys know that.
So it was for the aromatherapist, it was a 5% dilution.
Okay. And so let me see here. Let me see. Does anybody else have any other questions for Mary? I saw that one question here. Oh, is this really a case study? This is a case study, and we also have all the details of this case study that we will be having on, like Mary said, it will be on our site, where we will have other case studies from our other students too that are on viruses, but also on other things that you'll be able to check out. And that will be sent to you in an email. And that's in our Master Essential Oil event page. And this is uploaded to that. And you'll receive an email where you'll have this case study. So you'll be able to see everything about it. As you can see here, you see the carrier oil that she used. You see that she just used Raven Sarah, and she just used 1 essential oil. Like she said, this was special because of his situation, and he only wanted to really use 1. Wasn't that correct, Mary?
Yes. He didn't want anything to be really cluttered or complicated, and he wanted something that was very direct. And in my experience, and even what we learned in school, look at the chemical constituents. And yes, this is a real case study. So for anybody that wants to read the detail, all the references, all the scientific papers that this case study was extracted from in terms of what the chemistry is and so on. And the particulars of the chemistry are also stated in the text of the case study.
Yes, we weren't able to put that all in here because it's too much information, but she states the chemical constituents, why they were used, because in all of our case studies, to prove their case study, all the students have to put the chemical constituents in there. So that's why we couldn't put it all in here. We just gave the formulation, part of the rationale, and then the outcome, because it's too much information. And yes, if you wanted to add, someone asked here the question, Mary, they asked if you could add another oil to this formulation if patient doesn't mind.
Absolutely. And normally that's what I do. And that's why when we were discussing this when I was in school and I wanted to present it as one of my case studies, I asked permission and your advice on it, because normally I would do a minimum of 3 because of how the blend and how synergistically they work with one another in the appropriate blend. In this case, because of how this client presented, and because I knew of his medical history and I knew of his, I coached him from a supplement and a nutritional standpoint as well. I knew that this was the one thing that was probably going to give him put him over the top in terms of the nutritional and supplemental support that we were coaching him with too. So normally as an aromatherapist, I would do a minimum of 3, and I love 3 to 5% dilution. And so the drops in the measurement against the carrier oils would be measured in that way, the way we learned it in school. But this was a special case, and boy, I'll tell you, the results were very immediate, and I use it now. I mean, this was pre-COVID, and I use it now when someone presents with a big challenge where it's a very fast and furious upper respiratory assault when something does come up. Because this, what we're dealing with now comes on usually, what I'm finding with clients is really quickly, and the severity is pretty hefty.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And Mary, also they said, somebody asked, which oils would you add, Mary, if you were going to add something more to this formulation, with a person? I mean, that also depends on the person, and what the situation is too. We have to always remember that.
Yeah, I mean, right off the top, lemon would have been another one, because it didn't have I would only use one that's got that high concentration of 1.8 cineol or eucalyptol. And then I would have added something that was more calming, maybe some red mandarin or some bergamot, or something that would have been a little bit more direct on opening up the lungs, but also taking care of, because the stress of it. But lemon for sure would have been the other one I would have been a go-to. Okay,
and Mary, they're asking again, where did he apply it? So I put the slide up here where you suggested that and where he applied it. So if you want to go over that real quick again.
The massage was all over his throat and his chest, and with particular, we taught him how to nurse those lymph nodes so that they were not picking up, they were releasing whatever they were picking up, and there was no congestion, not only in the chest. And then he would get the vapors of what he applied on the chest and the solar plexus. But we taught him to nurse and milk the lymph nodes in the area as well.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Mary. I really appreciate this case study.
My pleasure. And welcome, everyone. I understand that this is a very big class, and I couldn't be more excited about the people who are investing their time and their efforts into using things like this, especially essential oils, to take care of ourselves, our families, and our clients.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, Mary.
All the best.
The best to you too. Okay, so let's go further here. We have some more questions. It said, Lorrie, could you explain why it's only one client? Well, this client was when she was doing her case studies for the school. And so this was one client that she did. However, Mary has continued to use this over and over. She's continued to use Raven Sarah, as she stated before. So as we said here, one of the best ways to use it is diffusion is a good way. Also, we're going to talk more about how to use them for viruses tomorrow. That's what tomorrow is all about, is about application. Also, inhaler sticks, inhalation, and she did diffusion and massage with this client, and it worked for him, and he recovered very quickly, and then he was able to, as she said, do his studying and finish his finals. So a case study versus research. A case study here is where you take a client, they fill out their case history. They tell you all their history. They come to you for a certain reason. Then you sit down with your client and you discuss that with them. And you guys together figure out, what is your purpose? What is the reason you're doing this case study? For example, this client came because he got the flu. He was getting the flu every quarter. How could he overcome this quickly so he could get his study done? How could he feel better? And how could he not have this recurring situation? So Mary sat down with him, and that's why she ended up using one oil, and that's why she contacted me. She says, hey, Lorrie, my client only wants to use one oil. What do you think about that? What is it that we, what are the different applications that, I'm thinking of this and that. That's why the students, they come back to me. We discuss it with each other if they have questions, because usually we do a synergistic blend. However, this client was set on Raven Sarah. And I've got to tell you that, our nose knows. It really does know. And when we give people something that they're not going to use, they're not going to use it. So he made up his mind that's what he wanted. And so that's what she did for him, and it worked. So that was a great question. Everybody said, so let's go back. So that's a case study. Then what you do is you fill out your information, your case study. And when you make a claim in your case study, you go out and you find research that proves that that works. You go and find clinical studies, you go out and you find the information. And that's what we're teaching in our school. We're teaching our students to go out and find the information, how to find the information, how to read research papers so you know what this research is saying. That's what our school is teaching. That's why Mary said she learned to do research. That's what. Then what we do is, after you've done your case studies, then you can do your research paper. And that's where you pick a topic and you do research on a certain topic to show how essential oils could work for that topic. So that's when you're in level 2. This was level 1, which is 5 case studies. Level 2 is 10 case studies, a research paper, and the clinical is 20 case studies. So, you learn a lot when you're doing this. You really learn how to dial down what your client needs, how to really help your client, and how to do the research. Find the research, before you start also. Thinking about what is it I could do with this client, how I could help them when they send their health history into you ahead of time. Then sitting down with your client, really talking with them, really finding out what it is, how you can help them, and what kind of application that they are going to use. Just like Mary said, you don't want them to leave it sitting there on the nightstand next to the bed. You want it to be something that they say that they're going to do. He said he could turn on the diffuser and he would massage himself. So he did it and it worked. All right, so let's go now. I want to make sure that you guys all know this. You all get a chance to win my book today, but you also get the special offer on my book. My book is regular $18.95. It's Common Sense, a practical guide to aromatherapy. And today, for all of you guys, attendees, is $15. So Ruth will put that link inside the comments for you guys to get that ordered up. So let's do our quiz. So one of you guys can win our book, and we will tell that today. We will say who's going to be the winner. And our first question is a cold a virus? Okay. Our second question is, are the symptoms of the cold more intense than the flu? Our third question is, what are the symptoms of COVID-19? The next question is, what is an essential oil? Next one is, how can essential oil help with viruses? And the next one is, what is the immune system? What is the function of the immune system? And down here, I can't read it because it's so low. What are the 3 types of immunity? So our first question is this. Is a cold a virus? Yes. Good job. Great. Next question. Are the symptoms of a cold more intense than the flu? Exactly. No. Good job. You guys are doing a great job. What are the symptoms of COVID-19? I'm going to give you some time because there's quite a few for you guys to write in the comments and then for them to get back to me with them. Body ache, stuffy, runny nose, throat, sore throat. What else, you guys? Cough, breathing difficulties. Yes. Loss of taste and smell. Yes, that's what's happened with this one. Congestion. Yes. Comes on fast. Fever, extreme fatigue, headache, and nausea. Good job, you guys. Depends on the person and the variant being discussed. Yes, it does. That's true. We have different variants, and some people, it depends on their immune system, which ones they have. You know, me, I had every symptom and it came just in order. And so did my daughter. It just went right through the order. Possible diarrhea, yes. Ruth had it too, and she's a long hauler. So that's another story. Our whole team had it. So we've all had our own experiences. And of course, it hits you in certain areas where you're weak, where you have weaknesses, right? Respiratory distress, fever, body aches, headaches, infection, brain fog. Yes, you can have brain fog definitely with this too, because it can, it goes to the nervous system, right? So you can have brain fog. And also, if it affects your intestinal system, our brain and gut connection. All right, so let's go here. Here we go. Fever or chills, cough, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, fatigue, muscle or body aches, headache, new loss of taste or smell, sore throat, congestion or runny nose, nausea or vomiting, and diarrhea. Okay, well, next question is, what is an essential oil? And insomnia can affect it. Yes, of course. You can have insomnia because you can't sleep for all the mucus and the congestion in the head. So what is an essential oil? Give us a description of that. Vital energies from various parts of plants, grasses, flowers, resins, trees. Excellent. Okay, that's right. The vital energies from the insides of roots, seeds, plants, grasses, flowers, resins, trees, fruits, peels, woods, right? Excellent, guys. Next question. Can essential oils help support with viruses? Can essential oils help with viruses? And Courtney Hale says extraction of chemical constituents from plants, materials, roots, rhizomes, seeds, flowers, etc., through steam distillation, CO2 extraction, and solvent extraction. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about that. Yes, they're antiviral, reduce inflammation, increase. Very good. Yes, they can help support recovery from viral illness. Great job, you guys. They have a lipophilic nature. They're advocated to penetrate viral membranes easily, leading to membrane disruption. Moreover, essential oils contain multiple active phytochemicals that can act synergistically on multiple stages of viral replication, and induce positive effects on host respiratory system, including bronchial dilation and mucus lysis. Okay, great job. You guys are doing well. So what is the immune system? You guys are all doing really well. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Paula. Thank you all, you guys, for Jasmine, Christine, Mary. Thank all of you guys. Deborah. Thank all of you guys for answering these questions. Really appreciate it. You're doing a good job. And you're going to get a chance to win my book and a $300 consultation, aromatherapy consultation. The part of the body that fights off infection. Okay, the immune system is an interactive network of lymphoid organ cells, humoral factors, and cytokines. The essential function of the immune system in host defense is best illustrated when things go wrong, right? It helps fight off the virus or bacteria or whatever it is that's trying to come into our body, or toxins, right? So what is the function of the immune system? I'm so glad Shirley just told me that so many of you guys are answering. Fantastic. I can't see it because all I can see is my slide, but thank you guys for answering and thank you for participating. It's absolutely wonderful. Oh, great. Wow. Shirley, system that helps the body help fight off the bacteria and viruses. 3 kinds of immunity: innate, adaptive immunity, defense from infection, viruses. This is Lindy. Lymphatic system. Christine says system that fights off any foreign substances through barriers and protection within the body. Great job. Marcia says network of body systems to protect and heal disease. Kathy says it seeks out enemies and makes antibodies. And Joy says natural bodies defense. Deborah said body network of systems that fight off disease. Cassandra said part of body that helps fight off infection. And Alexandria says body's defense system. And Barbara says helps the body defends the body against infections. Great job, you guys. When the body senses foreign substances called antigens, the immune system works to recognize the antigens and get rid of them. It protects us. And what are 3 types of immunity, which we just had somebody already say here? They're doing such a great job. This is wonderful. Good job. So what are 3 types of immunity that we have? Someone already named them, but I'm going to see who else knows. Okay, innate, adaptive, and passive. Wow, you guys are doing great here. Woohoo! Florence, Terry, Vicky, Courtney, Carla, Marcia, Vicky, Lindy, Dina, Janet, Martha, Alexandria, Kim, Sue. Wow, you guys are doing great. Innate, adaptive, and passive. Okay. Now we're going to go through this very quickly here. We've got a few more questions. And which chemical families are expectorants and decongestion? What chemical families are antiviral? What chemical families contain anti-inflammatory essential oils? What chemical families contain essential oils that are antiseptic? What chemical family is known to kill parasites? And what essential oil did Mary use in her case study for flu? So let's start here. So what chemical families are expectorants and decongestants? Whoa. I started to give the answer. Sometimes I click a little too much. Very exciting. You guys are doing a great job. Oh, and Lita too. Thank you, Lita. I missed your name on here. Barbara. Oh, and Lynette also. Wow. Astoria, Abigail, Mandy, Kathy. Oh, a whole bunch more here. Thank you guys. Christine, Cynthia, Deborah, Lisa, Liz, Joyce, Christine, Cassandra, and Jasmine. Thank you so much for answering, you guys. Great job. You guys are rocking it. Okay, so here we go. For our next answer, oxides, Lindy, oxides, phenols, yes, oxides, peppermint, oxides, ketones. So let's go here. Okay, so we have oxides and terpenes. Now, phenols also can be expectorants because oregano can be help with expectorant too. So this is just examples. You know, you can have an essential oil in another chemical family that could help also too. So these are just the main ones right here. So I want to make that clear for everybody, all right? Okay, terpenes, oxides, Raven, Sarah. Yep, there we go. So here, what chemical families are antiviral? You guys are really good. I'm impressed. Phenols, ketones, good. What chemical families? Oxides. And limonene, yes, it breaks up things, doesn't it? It gets things out, like with lemon and orange. It helps that mucus get thinner so that you can get it out, so it's not thick in there. And you've got oxides, you've got, you've got the terpenoid of 1 point, I always say point, it's 1,8-phenol, which the other word for it, which my husband says, is eucalyptol. So to go back to that previous question. Okay, let me see the new one. Monoterpenes, phenols, monoterpenes, ketones. Okay, so let's go here. So we've got phenols, terpenes, oxides, aldehydes, alcohols, and ketones. So look at that. Look at all the choices you have, right? What chemical families contain anti-inflammatory essential oils? And good job, you guys. Good job, Gwen, Sue, Marcia, Vicky, Courtney, Petra, Kim, Cece, Sue, Lita, Lindy, Abigail, Terry, Courtney, Olivia. Wow. Good job. If I missed your name, I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to scan through them very quickly here as I get the answers. because I can't see them in the chat with my screen in front of me. Good job, you guys. Okay. All right, so now we've got new replies. And this replies we've got here, we've got ketones, phenols, alcohols, ketones, alcohols, ketones. Let me make sure. Sesquiterpenes, there we go. Esters, aldehydes, alcohols, phenols, ketones, alcohols, phenols, terpenes, aldehydes, phenols, monoterpenes, oxides, esters, limonene as the first, phenols, ketones, terpenes, ethers, aldehydes, ketones. You guys are doing a great job. Aldehydes, it goes on and on. Okay, so let's look here. So we've got terpenes, esters, sesquiterpenes, alcohol, ethers, and you do have phenols too. You have some in those too. So this is great. You guys are doing a great job. What chemical families contain essential oils that are antiseptic? Wow. So thank you, Kathy, Liz, Abigail, Lita, Vicky, Cassandra, Janet, Cynthia, Lindy, Gwen, Petra, Terry, Olivia, Marcia, Cassandra, Deborah, Lynette, Terry, Joyce, Janet, Sue, Abigail, Florence, Deborah, Marva, Cassandra, Liz, Kathy, Lindy. Wow, thank you guys for these answers. You're doing a great job. Okay, so let's list some of the families here. Sesquiterpenes, esters, phenols, aldehydes, alcohols, and terpenes. Wow. Our next question is, what chemical family is known to kill parasites? This is a good one. You're probably wondering why I'm asking this question. Well, it's important because when we have problems with our gut, we can have parasites and we can have worms. And also with different viruses, especially the one that we're all dealing with on a regular basis every day now, it's known to really attack the digestive system from the esophagus down through the stomach, through the large intestine. And so when we can use essential oils that can be helpful for that, it will help also penetrate if we've got already a gut problem, because it can penetrate that virus in there, it can be more helpful. So to know those essential oils is very good. Okay, so here we go. We've got, now it doesn't mean your answers are wrong, okay? Because I've picked one family is what I've done. And so limonene, terpenes, alcohols, esters, ethers, terpenes, sesquiterpenes, alcohols, sesquiterpenes, esters, alcohols, phenols. Okay, good job. Esters, lemon, terpenes, esters, aldehydes, esters, almost all. Phenols, terpenes, esters, sesquiterpenes. Okay, we've got a bunch of great answers here. Now, it doesn't mean, so what I did is I picked phenols, and the reason I picked phenols is because they're known for that more than other families, and they're more powerful is the reason I chose that. It doesn't mean the other ones won't work on parasites either, but when you've got thymol from thyme, you've got carvacol from oregano and savory, and you've got eugenol from clove, you're going to have a very quick and good result. It doesn't mean the other ones don't work on them either, because in our detox program, we are using essential oils in our program on a monthly basis to help with different challenges that the detoxers are having. And of course, they are passing parasites. And when they're using herbal formulations for that, we're also adding the essential oils to really give it a nice kick, right? It's like the icing on the cake. So, and we're not only just using phenols, we are also using terpenes and we're using other things. But I just want you to know that when you think about parasites, think about phenols because they're the most powerful ones, okay? All right, and what essential oil did Mary use in her case study for the flu? Yeah, I know you guys have to go. It's taking us a little bit longer today. So let's put that there. It's Raven Sarah, right? So Raven Sarah is that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our questions and answers. And while we're doing our questions and answers, we're going to let Miss Ruth is going to all put your guys' name in a hat and she's going to choose someone. And in fact, today, Ruth, because we have so many participants, we're going to choose 5 people and we're going to send out 5 books, okay? So pick 5 people. Because we had so many people participate, pick 5 people today. And we're going to keep all your names so that way you all get a chance. So pick 5 people. And let's go through our questions and answers here. Let me make sure I didn't miss something. I want to make sure that I didn't miss something here. Go back that everybody has sent me real quick here while Ruth gets that done. And make sure I haven't missed a question. Sorry, you guys, I'm going through all your answers you sent, which is absolutely awesome. I want to thank everyone for that. Beautiful answers. Okay, here was a good question. Can you give us more information on how essential oils stop the replication? Well, if we go back here and you look at the science of this, what it is because essential oils are lipophilic, which means they love fat. They can go into the cell, you see, and they can penetrate the cell. They can penetrate the protein of that cell. And this is the reason why they work so well on viruses. Viruses are smaller than bacteria, and essential oils can get in there, into that more easily than other things. So here we see in this study right here, it says, owing to their lipophilic nature, essential oils are advocated to penetrate viral membranes easily, leading to membrane disruption. Moreover, essential oils contain multiple active phytochemicals. It's like we're looking at the chemistry of essential oils and we're looking at the families. But as we know, essential oils contain many different chemical constituents from different families. However, it gives us a way to focus in when we look at the chemical families. So what it's saying here is that when they act synergistically on the multiple stages of viral replication and also induce positive effects on host respiratory system, including the bronchodilation and the mucus lius. So this is why this is a great question, and keep up. This is wonderful. Thank you guys so much for all these questions. Let's go back here. Yes, and I also want to state too that it's 30 mil. 30 mil is 1 ounce that Mary used, and she used 18 drops, which is not quite 3%. 3% is around 23 drops average, okay? Let me see here. Oh, Kim, this is a good question. Chamomile, if it's anti-allergenic, why are we often told to avoid if we're allergic to ragweed? Because chamomile is in the ragweed family. So if you know you have allergies to ragweed, then please, be careful with chamomile. So you can you have to think of it like that. So if you want something that's calming and it's not in the ragweed family, you would go to lavender, for example. Okay. That was a good question. Another question was, can wild chamomile be used in this study? Well, it depends on the situation of the person, and that's what we tried to explain is this was a certain a client and this is what he wanted. And so this is the reason why Mary just used Raven Sarah. That would be something you'd have to decide to sit down with your client and talk about. And my husband does call 1,8-Senol. He calls it eucalyptol. All right. So I think that's our question. So Ruth, are you ready for our winner? Sorry to have to flick back through all this. Wish I could just go on, but it won't let me. So I have to go back through our quiz. Okay. And what we're going to do too is Ruth said that we're going to gather all the questions and put them into a file. That way you can download after the series is over. Okay. So all the questions you asked, we will then have the answers for them and we will send those to you in a download. All right. So that way you guys have all the questions answered. Okay, Ruth, who's the winner? We're going to give 5 books because we had such a great off the charts answers here from everybody. Everyone is so smart, doing such a great job. We're so happy to have all of you. Do you have those 5 people ready, Ruth? So we can, because we've went over our 1.5 hours. It's supposed to be 7 hours of training, and it looks like it's going on to almost 8 hours. It's going to be 2 hours. So our training is going well. Okay. Oh, here's a couple more questions that I missed. I'm so sorry, you guys. So for the book, and I'll go to these questions. For the book, our winners are Queenie, Sue Batten, Courtney, Kim, and Florence. So congratulations to all of you guys. And then we also, for the 30-minute consultation, we have Florence. She wants that. That's great. Fantastic. And the other question is, how are phenols applied for parasites? Well, because clove, cinnamon, oregano, savory are so powerful and so strong, you would only use 1 or 2 drops in 1 ounce of carrier oil. And say, for example, you use lemon or orange because we like to work with the microbiota in the gut, right? So say you did 1 drop of clove to 10 drops of your orange. You could do a massage on your intestinal system from the right to the left, from the ascending side of the colon, across the transverse, down the descending sigmoid colon in a circular motion, okay? And you also can take your fist like this and work that. So you massage, put the carrier oil, the blend on, the formulation on your intestinal system, and then you could massage it with your fist like this. There's also other massage techniques that we do as far as kneading the intestinal system in the detox program that we offer. We offer a whole week of, we just work on massaging our intestinal system. But yeah, you just put 1 drop of oregano or 1 drop of clove or 1 drop of cinnamon or 1 drop of savory to 1 ounce of carrier oil because they're so powerful. And always make sure that you don't, if you have a reaction, use a carrier to dilute it out. Okay. So congratulations to everybody for the winners of the book. So that's Queenie, Sue, Courtney, Kim, and Florence. Congratulations. And wondering if this oil that can help prep body before receiving booster. Okay, and another question is there an essential oil that can help prep the body before receiving booster? Well, what we do is we have a protocol for that. So what we will do is we will be talking about that on Sunday, all the protocols. So that way you guys can have protocols for all these different things and that be helpful to you, okay? Then the other one is, can you just have a few symptoms of COVID? Yes, some people can. And can you test negative? That depends, huh? Depends on when you went and got your test, if the test was correct or not. An antigen test is your best bet. And now you can get those you can send for those for free. I think you can get up to 3 or 4 per family now, an antigen test. And what we'll do is we'll put that link up because we just recently got that link. So that can help you. That's the best way to know. An antigen test is what we took at home. Then I'm living in France, and right now I'm in California, but I was in France when I had COVID. And what they did is then they called us on the phone, and then a nurse came to our house, and then she did a regular PCR, but we did an antigen test, and that it was positive for both of us. So then we just had to do the PCR, so that way we could have our health pass there. And what else? Let me see here. Okay, so that is our questions answered. We want to thank you guys so much for being on. And tomorrow is lesson number 2, how to use essential oils for viruses. It's going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern time, same place, same channel. Want to make sure that you guys are there tomorrow. Remember that this was recorded, so tomorrow morning you will receive this recording so you can listen back to it. And we will only have it up for a few days. Then after that, the information goes away. So we want to and always remember that you can go to our master class event page on my site at www.lorriehargis.com. It will be there and it will be on the blog. Okay, so we want to make sure that you guys go to that page. All right, so see you guys tomorrow on how to use essential oils for viruses. And don't forget your essentials. Use your common sense. Au revoir.